Get ready to roar. The Florida Panthers are ready to soar. Yes, we are. We are back-to-back Cats. What an absolutely amazing night last night was. And we've done it. We have won the Stanley Cup. There was no need for us to go back to Edmonton for Game 7. Connor McDavid quipping that they were going to win last night and send the series back to Edmonton for Game 7. Did not happen. Sasha and the crew were like, yeah, we're not going back to Edmonton for Game 7. We're ending it here. We're putting the Oilers out of their misery. You guys are already on low oil mode, and we'll just go ahead and send you guys to Cancun for the summer. So, absolutely amazing night. Of course, Reno gets 4 goals. I believe that's the first time that's ever happened in the Stanley Cup Finals or the playoffs, perhaps, for the Florida Panthers. I don't think they ever scored. Nobody's ever scored a hat trick in the playoffs or the Stanley Cup Finals for the Florida Panthers, and I believe that Reno is the first. Sam Bennett wins the Conn Smythe Trophy. Therefore, he is, of course, your first Florida Panther to win the Conn Smythe. Connor McDavid, of course, winning last year. There was no way the Florida Panthers were letting Connor McDavid get back-to-back Conn Smythe trophies, and I don't think the NHL would have wanted that either. Although, maybe they do. I don't know. But it was a great game. We started off strong. We had that 1-goal lead. Then we had that 2-goal lead. Then we had that 3-goal lead. And then when it hit 4-0, I was like, yeah, this game's over. And it was fantastic. It's kind of funny. I was watching the game right there at the end. And I had my phone, and I was recording a message that we had won, and with just a few minutes left, 2 or 3 minutes left. We had won. We were back-to-back Cats. And I missed the Edmonton goal because they scored as I was, recording the message that we had, become back-to-back Cats. So that was kind of funny, but ended up final score 5-1. And the scenes this morning from Elbow Room were absolutely incredible. Would have loved to have been there. Just a tad too far away. Not terribly, but just a tad too far away to be able to be down there. So I'm with you guys in spirit. I'm wearing my red. We are reigning red. The NHL still has a rain red. A red rain. And it was incredible. Sergei Bobrovsky's interview was absolutely amazing last night. There are more than one reasons of why he's my favorite player of all time. And I think he is definitely now the greatest goaltender in the history of the Florida Panthers. I know that Luongo now has 2 rings as well, because he's an executive for the Florida Panthers. But he didn't get them as a player. So I think as far as goaltenders are concerned, I think Bob is actually now better on the all-time list, in my eyes, than Luongo. But, to each their own. I get it. Look, okay? If Sasha Barkov wasn't already the greatest Florida Panther, period, then he certainly cemented his legacy last night, becoming the first European to captain back-to-back Stanley Cup champions ever, I think. I think he's the first European to do that. It may have been like 50 years or so. What did they say that Reno was the first player to score 4 goals in a Stanley Cup final, series-clinching game since Babe Dye in like 1922, which was 103 years ago. And then, like, you know, he was absolutely incredible. Sam Bennett getting the Conn Smythe was icing on the cake for me. The whole thing was incredible. The players passing the cup from the first-time winners to the multi-winners, that was really, really cool because, you know, those multi-time winners, they know what it's like to win the Stanley Cup. Those first-time winners, this, of course, is, like I said, their first time winning the Stanley Cup. So them getting to have it first, instead of like players like Marchand and Bennett and Reinhart and Kachuk and all that, you know, that was really special, and I thought that was just a very unique nod. Couple of things that stood out to me in the interviews is that they thought that this was a much harder cup to win, and I can't disagree. I think that a lot of people counted out the Florida Panthers a long time ago. Gretzky, he may be best friends with Bill Zito, but if I'm Zito, I'm like, yeah, Gretzky, you can't show up here anymore because, I was hearing some people last night and they were like that Gretzky, he crapped on the Florida Panthers for the entire series, and if you're best friends with somebody, you shouldn't do that. And I totally agree. So, if Gretzky wants to show up and he wants to celebrate this cup, I'm sorry, but in my eyes, Gretzky, no. I think you need to put some respect on the Florida Panthers. I heard this from a friend of mine last night too. We're nobody's little brother anymore. We're not the Tampa Bay Lightning's little brother anymore. We have 2 Stanley Cups, back-to-back Stanley Cups. I think we're one behind Tampa in terms of Stanley Cups, but we'll get that soon. As far as the 3-peat is concerned, I'm not going to worry about that until September, October. I'm going to enjoy the next few months as Stanley Cup champions and then worry about whether or not we can get a 3-peat. But if we're going to go for a 3-peat, if we go for a 3-peat, we're going to need to bring the core back, all of them. So Marchand and Reinhart and everybody else's contracts that are up, and I'm sure that I'll put out a video about the contracts as soon as I can. But I know that this has been one of those videos where I just seem like I'm flustered or whatever or something like that. Just understand, I am so overjoyed and so happy that it's in so many ways hard to get my words out. So I want to thank you guys for joining me here once again on the Panthers Prowl. Go Panthers, go Cats. We are the Rat Pack, the true Rat Pack. And last night we proved to be the kings of the NHL. So, once again, signing off, go Cats.